Good morning. I'm glad you guys got to join us this Wednesday morning. I'm here with Van Deeb again. My buddy, how are you, man?
I'm good, Jay. Good to see you.
It's been a while since we've done one of these.
It's been a while. It's been too long.
So, Van, first of all, you just got back from a trip, a good weekend vacation.
Went to see Jennifer Lopez.
So how was she? Really, like, this
She's
is
a
years
great
later.
dancer and a great singer.
You know, when I was in radio, I played her music, and I remember, wow, what if I get to meet J-Lo ever? You know, and we never had a chance, never got close, but those are one of the people I wanted to meet. Yeah.
You know what was really cool is it kind of segues into our topic today is when she was taking a break between songs, she would talk about treating people well and how important it is that we make people feel good. She would say little things between her songs, and it's kind of what we're talking about today, making people feel like they matter.
I think too often today what's happening right now, Van, is the speed of business is so fast that we forget to do the humankind and be connected to people. We're so transactional, and people are just to stand out, all you have to do is be kind, make people feel like they matter.
Yeah.
Right? And so what are some of the things that, you know, through the years that have just been ingrained in you? What does it mean to be, you know, make people feel like they matter to you?
Well, my philosophy, and apparently it's worked because my customers throughout my career stay with me. They don't go anywhere else. And so I always had the philosophy that I wanted my customers to feel like they were my only customer.
Yes, which is difficult,
And
right?
it's very difficult, especially when you're running and you're grinding. But I tried very hard to make them feel like they were very important to me because they were. So the way to answer your question, one of the many ways to make people feel like they matter is return their call.
Oh, gosh.
Return their text.
Yes.
Return their email.
Right.
And I can't tell you how many times I've given people opportunities to make money and to do business, and I've gotten call back 3 or 4 days later, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I've been busy."
Oh, man.
And it's
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm sure I've done that too, but that didn't make me feel very good.
Right. So people do that, right? You know, you get a text and you're like, oh, I'll answer that later, and then 2 days pass by and you're like, oh, I didn't get back in time.
Well,
And then it makes it weirder.
it shows people that you're anxious to do business with them.
Sure.
But it's easy. So all these antidotes and remedies and ways to make people feel like they matter all have one thing in common. They don't cost a dime.
You have brought that up
They don't
so many times.
cost a dime to make people feel like they matter.
I don't think we need to be overly intelligent to make people feel like they matter. It doesn't require a degree.
Well, if you
It
saw
doesn't-
my GPA from college, you would definitely agree with that statement.
Hey, but you graduated.
You
That's
don't
all
have
that
to be a
matters.
PhD to understand making people feel good.
So when people do business with you, Van, and you know it's really easy. Yes, like you say, it's not easy, but you call them back. You do what other things besides the obvious that we miss? Do you make people feel like they matter? How do you make people feel
You know,
like they matter?
if you do the basics and fundamentals, you don't need to do much more.
Right, because
And I mean, seriously, I mean, I have people say, "Man, it was the greatest experience doing business with you, Van. And I didn't do anything but just do the basics and fundamentals." And that's returning their call, answering their question. If I can't answer it, I will point them in the right direction.
right.
Being available for them. One of the common statements I've made to my home buyers and home sellers is, if you have a question about this transaction and it's keeping you up at night, don't feel like you can't call me so you can get your question answered. I want to make sure people know that I'm not just available 8 to 5. It's like, it really is funny to me when I coach real estate agents throughout the country, or I go do seminars, and I talk with agents I just met and they want to get better, and I'll call them, and their voicemail says, if this is after 5, I'll return your call tomorrow morning. And I'm like, dude, I'm buying the biggest investment of my life, and your voicemail says I can't talk to you after 5?
Wow.
So it's kind of funny that the income that these people make are indicative of their voicemail.
and your greeting on the voicemail too, and how you should feel warm and welcome, again, to make people feel like they matter. I hear voicemails where if you're dealing with a professional, and this is a passive way, and guess what? Their voicemail just goes to a generic box. Now, that's not exactly trying to make people feel like they matter, but you're not taking the time to build your brand or your welcome mat, if you would.
Your brand should be how you treat people.
And I think that's...
It really is. I mean...
Because you can't buy that advertising.
No, I know a ton of people that spend a fortune on marketing and software and the latest and greatest. And I used to laugh my tail off because I didn't have any of that, and I'd blow their doors away on being the top salesperson. Because they don't get it. They think that the best software and this and that. It's not sustainable to only have that in your wheelhouse.
Right.
People want to do business with people that care more than the next guy.
I think there's a lot of people that do what you do, right? There's real estate professionals, there's insurance professionals, there's all kind of professionals, but to set yourself apart, you have to make that person who's sitting across from you, on the other line from you, waiting for you, or you're waiting on them, you have to make them feel like they matter. And I think what happens too often is we make excuses to rationalize why we're lacking in making people feel like they matter.
You know, Jay, you're a role model on making people feel like they matter. I mean, I've known you a long time, and it's natural for you to make people feel like they matter.
Thank you.
And that's why people want to do business with you. I'm a client of yours.
Right.
You know, with all my insurance needs. And I wouldn't be a client of yours if I didn't feel like, you didn't make me feel like I was important.
And that's important. And I want to bring up their names. Troy and April Purchell, right?
Troy and April Purchell are, they're awesome.
And that's a guy like you has many contacts in this industry, in every industry.
Right.
And you just are looking for the right connection. You're looking to be treated like you matter, right?
I'm only going to do business with the best of the best.
Right.
I don't have time to do business with people that are average. Never, ever will that happen. And I don't want my customers to ever deal with anybody average.
Right, because I think I hear, because my wife, does real estate as well. Becky does real estate.
She does very good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I hear her. I hear her passion on the phone. I hear her getting back to people. I watch her at the kitchen table sometimes, or in her office downstairs in our house, really just connecting. And let's just talk about sales in general. Sometimes people go, oh, I didn't sell this, or I didn't sell that van, or, this is so hard. I think some of the fundamentals is you're not connecting, or you're not making your prospect or your client feel like they matter.
Right. So the more you make your client feel like they matter, the more they're going to want to refer you.
Oh,
I'm going to give an example.
Yes, referability.
So speaking of, you brought up the name Troy Purchell. So
yes.
A lot of times I'll have a question maybe at 5 in the morning on a Saturday or something. I may, when I'm up, and I don't want to wait till Monday to reach out.
Right.
So like with my rental properties, I'll send maybe a Troy, I'll send him an email maybe on a Saturday morning.
Right.
To ask a question, and I always put, do not respond this weekend. Enjoy your weekend.
Right.
You can respond next week, no problem. Within a couple hours, I've got a response.
That's crazy.
Now the response may be, I'll look into this on Monday.
Right.
But the fact is, he emailed me back, tell me that doesn't make you feel like you're important. So we have very few ways to make our customers and clients feel like they're important. It's not rocket science, it's just common sense. So what I advise people in my audiences to do, Jay, is to get a pad and paper, and they're sitting home watching TV or they're with their kids or whatever, and write at the top, how can I make my clients feel like they matter? And start writing down ways that you can think of. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you something, you'd be surprised all the ways that you can make people feel like they matter, and not one of them will cost you a dime.
And while we're doing this, in the comments below, when you're watching this and at your leisure, whether it be now or on the replay, I want you to write in the comments, what's one thing you can do, you think, that, and share it. And this is not about you knowing, it's about you sharing a comment about how you make your clients or your friends or people matter. And that's another thing too, Van. I think when people aren't your prospect and people aren't your client, I think we're forgetting, or society is forgetting about, those people matter too.
Yeah.
You don't have to be sitting across from a transaction or a sale or a deal to be kind.
No.
I'm talking letting some lady take your chair on the bus. We were just in London, and I will tell you the chivalry there is pretty amazing, very amazing. They are so kind to their own people, and when you see someone who needs help, I think a lot of things like that make us uncomfortable, and we turn a cheek. So it's not that we're not wanting to be kind and make them feel like they matter, Van. It's sometimes we're uncomfortable. I'll say it, sometimes people are uncomfortable with making people feel like they matter. And
Yeah.
here's why I'm saying that. Because they're not comfortable with themselves.
Right.
Something's not making them happy.
Yeah.
And can we avoid those people? Yes. And sometimes those people are amidst our lives where you have a choice on what you can do with that, right? So how do you deal with, when they say kill people with kindness, I think it's not killing them with kindness. It's saying, you're not feeling well right now. Maybe something's bothering you right now, but I'm going to make you feel like you matter to me no matter what.
Right.
And guess what? I think that wins people over.
You kill them with kindness, but that's where it stops for me.
Sure.
If I'm not being treated well, I'll treat them wonderful, but I will not do business with you.
Understand.
I don't even want to see you if I don't have to.
Right.
There's too many good people out there. So
yes, that's true.
If you're not a good human being in my camp, somebody else will talk to you.
And remember, we talked about having those people surround you in your life, right? And
Well, you're the average of the 5 people you hang with.
absolutely.
It's really, and it's been said over and over and over again from from Dale Carnegie to Napoleon Hill to Zig Ziglar to Tony Robbins. Everybody says it. You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, and you pick up their habits.
Yeah.
If you're with somebody that you go to lunch with and they don't say please and thank you or
Right.
around, you might eventually pick up that same habit.
But I notice myself, so when we're out to lunch or when we're out for coffee,
Yeah.
I always see that you are very courteous to the staff. I mean,
Yeah.
really courteous.
I'm really over the top with staff when I go to service places where they're serving me, whether it be a restaurant or a coffee shop, because I know that they're not treated that way by everybody.
And it's so
I know,
true.
yeah. And plus, I waited tables through when I was younger.
Right, so
I
you were
can,
there.
I can relate, man, and I'll tell you, there's nothing like being treated, like it's important.
Absolutely. So out there are people who struggle with making people feel like they matter. I don't think you need to revolutionize yourself or recreate yourself to be kind and make people feel like they matter. In your personal life, can you give me an example where it's really important? And I'll share one after. I mean, like, personally, outside of business, man, how conscious are you, or what tips do you have for somebody to make people who are outside of business?
Well, I think if you want to make a change, first of all, you can.
Yeah,
If
right
you make
now.
if you make a decision today, you know what? I'm going to start treating people better. I'm going to start treating my clients like they matter. I'm going to start treating everybody I see better. Once you make that conscious decision, then you start incorporating what what the steps are. And so, anytime you create a discipline, and in this case, you want to be conscious of making sure you're treating people well.
Right.
The discipline will eventually become a habit,
Right.
and it'll eventually become natural to you. And it's like last week I gave a talk to second and third graders.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I love talking to kids because I am one. And
Yes, you are. Yeah, you're
Like
the
I
oldest
have-
teenager in Omaha.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. But I had one of the kids say, well, how can we make people feel important when we're only in third grade? I said, if you see your teacher, just to give an example, get up and is going to walk out the door, get up and open the door for her or him.
Right.
Practice doing that, and practice with people you care about, practice with people you love, practice with your own family, and eventually it will become natural to you. But you've got to be conscious. You've got to make sure when you're talking to somebody, either in person or on the phone or through email or text, you've got to make sure to remember it's about them. And the more you make it about them, then you'll create that mindset.
I think it starts at home too.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
And I'm just thinking all the things that you've said should start at home. And I think, society, again, with the limited time and the distractions, it's really easy to just treat them average.
Yeah.
Hold on, son. Hey, hon, do you mind just holding a second? Or what was that you said?
Yeah.
And again, it's a good reminder, again, to be around you, Van, and we're highly conscious of this. It makes me want to be better. And hopefully that carries over into the next person that I'm hanging out with my five.
Yes.
Right? And then it becomes a habit, and then it becomes culture. And I think, your clients, and I've known some of them, right? They talk about you, Van.
Good.
And
That's my whole goal.
and when people say, oh,
Good
he's
or
so
bad?
this, good. And oh, he's so this or he's so, I said, what makes him that? What makes him kind, or what makes him good? And I dig deep in words like caring,
Yeah.
over the top like you used.
Carry more than you're supposed to.
Yes. And I think it doesn't cost much.
Costs
Anything, nothing.
I'm a frugal dude, so you know that
You're smart with money.
smart with money.
Right. And time is the ultimate. Spending time with people that matter. Spending a few minutes. I'm sure I'm going to walk by some agent in my hallway today.
You got to say hi to them.
Beyond hi.
Or at least a smile with your eyes.
What? Get to know their kids.
Anybody in a leadership position that's watching, and if not, forward this on to them.
Yes.
The people in leadership positions they don't have a choice. They've got to develop this mindset. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to manager conferences and I've given keynote speeches, and I've giving them the direction and the way you're supposed to treat your employees. And I'll have people come up to me afterwards, even sometime somebody will be crying saying, all the things you talked about being a bad manager and not making my employees feel like they matter, you were describing me. I mean, people in leadership positions, I like to use an example, and I may get some haters on this, but that's okay. Bo Pelini.
Okay.
I'm going to use an example. So in the state of Nebraska, football is right under God.
I mean, I'm telling you, they reschedule weddings and funerals around them, right? Let's be honest.
So shortly after he took over, I really paid attention to his leadership style.
Oh.
And I find out later that he doesn't have one. But I'm just using this as an example. Nothing against Bo Pelini as the person, because I don't know him. Well, I'll never forget when they interviewed him, and the sportscaster said, Coach Pelini, when did you know you were going to put in the second quarterback or whatever? And his response was, why? Like, why are you asking me that? So immediately showed huge disrespect
Right.
And the reason is why is the media are the ones that bring all the information to all the fans in the state of Nebraska. But so I said to my peers, watch what happens to the players and how they're going to respond to people. And
Absolutely.
it was to the T that eventually, when they interviewed players, you could see that they weren't as respectful as Nebraska football players used to be.
Right.
And it all because of leadership. So if you want your company to be known as people that are caring and they make people feel like they matter, you as a leader, you better be that person times 10.
Right. Nobody cares about what you know until they know you care.
That's a great... it's funny you said that, because on the back of my business card for 20 years, I would put, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Oh, and that's...
And I don't know who made that statement, but it sure meant a lot to me.
But let's go back to what you were saying about leadership. There are people in leadership, and I think some of the greatest leaders, again, and I attribute to this, it's not about being scholarly or it's not coming from a pedigree. It's about who you are as a person. So when I have 28 agents in my district, right, that I am responsible for and I support, right, and notice my language. I'm not in charge of them.
Right.
Okay,
You work with them.
I work with them. If you saw my chart, my org chart, I would be at the bottom and it would be an upside down Christmas tree, right? Because my job is there to support them and build them up as business owners. But I think what people forget is how can you incentivize people who are already incentivized to grow their own business, to get their own income, to make their own profit, to run a business? They have their own whys. But when you really want to push, if you don't care, if you don't know their family, if you don't know their children, their habits, their whys, you're not going to connect with them.
Yeah.
And it's not about throwing out an incentive contest every time. Sometimes it's just about, hey, here's a good push for all of us. Let's do it.
When I ran Deeb Realty,
yes,
we had a retention rate that was crazy. Brokers from all over would say, how do you keep people from not leaving? Because in real estate, people jump on people jump. They move. They move around.
Sure.
Very rarely did somebody leave our company. And we weren't doing bonuses and big incentives.
Right.
But what we did, that we were known for, we made them feel like they mattered. And that's what grew my company.
Yes.
Is we made people feel like they matter. If my philosophy was, if it's important to you, it's more important to me. And I think that's a mindset that's been kind of lost.
I think, like you said, it costs nothing to do this, but it's priceless.
Yeah.
The recipient.
And you become known for that.
Yeah.
And people want to gravitate to you. People
Yeah.
want to be in your camp when you become known for that. I mean, I had a policy that, you have to treat the other real estate agents with the other companies like they matter too.
Yeah.
You want to treat them as a customer.
Right.
No different.
Right.
And which isn't always the case in real estate. But
Sure. Remember when we were at Berkshire's convention at Borsheim's?
yeah.
I don't know how many people you saw that day,
No.
but you stopped just about for everyone
No.
that called your name.
Well,
I'm saying, when they said, "Hey, Van," you gave them the time. I mean, not
Yeah,
gave them the
no,
time, but
no, yeah.
you spoke, and I think
Well, you're
that's important.
grateful.
Yes.
You're grateful.
Yes.
I mean, and of course, just like you, when you know a lot of people and you work hard, you're going to meet a lot of people. So eventually you're going to know a lot of people. You don't know everybody.
Understand.
And how many people do you go up and shake hands to and how you doing and this and that, and you leave there going, I can't remember where I met him.
Right.
But
that happens.
that's not their problem. That's
Right.
your problem.
Right.
So don't
Right.
put it on them.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, so last parting shot. So final thoughts on today, the challenge. So we put comments below on what you feel and what you think that you're going to do or challenge others with. What's a kind of recap today with, making people feel like they matter?
Well, I think the biggest recap is if somebody wants to have their own Farm Bureau agency, they should contact you. And the other takeaway is if you want to have a dynamic speaker,
That would be Van.
contact me to come speak to your company.
And I've heard Van speak many times, even at our own
He's
company.
good.
Oh, that
He's
guy Van.
really good.
He's talking in third party as if he's not here, but I will tell you that the speaking engagements and all the events that I've ever seen you at, even before
Thanks.
I knew you, Van,
Well, I try to get better every day.
and you know what? When you do speak, the room could be full,
Yeah.
but I bet you there's.
Yeah.
I know, because I listened.
Yeah.
I felt like I was the only person. I
Good,
was listening
and I've
to
done
that
my
message.
job.
Hopefully not that bad manager though, right?
But you know, to answer your question on a parting thing, you and I, Jay Morales and Van Dieb, will never ask our audiences to do anything they're not capable of. I would
Right.
hate to go in a room and having the person in the front of the room telling me all these things that I know I can't do. What we talk about is things that you can do, that you're capable of. If you say to yourself today, I'm going to write down a list of things that I can do to make people feel like they matter and to feel like they're important, I'll guarantee you that'll be a game changer. It'll add to your income. It'll
Yes.
make your heart feel good, and people will start gravitating to you. Fact.
I think that's well said. You couldn't have made it any easier than that.
I'm really good at this.
He's modest too, which I love. So again, thank you for having us in your beautiful home.
Thank you.
This is an amazing, amazing view outside. This was a great session today. I
Yeah, we
appreciate it.
just, you know, you and I, we talk about what can we do to benefit others.
Yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
really what our little Facebook Lives are all about.
Yes.
If we have something we think that may make your life easier, we're going to tell you about it.
Thanks for joining us today. It's midweek. There's plenty of time left in the week. And if Monday's the day that you avoid, maybe you might be in the wrong career, the wrong life. Talk to Van or talk to myself about possibly a direction in which you want to take your life. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jay.